Steam Next Fest is here once again. It's a very fun time for Steam players to test out hundreds of forthcoming games, but it's also a good opportunity for console players to get a first look at what might be coming down the line. I always love Steam Next Fest. I love to dip in, I love to try loads of things out, I love to see what's becoming popular. I've been watching a lot of trailers, I've been trying out a few games myself, and from all of that information I've drawn up this list of 21 games that you can play right now at Steam Next Fest 2025. The festival is already off and running and it runs through until March the 3rd, so you've got a week to try out all of these games, but if you're watching after that day, a lot of the demos stay up, so you might still be able to dip in and try them out yourself. If you're in Next Fest and you've been playing some games, then let me know in the comments if you found any hidden gems. I am just one person, so these are the games that caught my eye, but I would love to hear what you found during this Steam Next Fest yourself. As always, your likes are appreciated to help more people find the video. You can subscribe to the channel for more indie game videos like this in your feed, and I'll tell you about the channel's Patreon in a while. And with that, let's get into it and talk about Steam Next Fest 2025. Let's kick things off with a football game. It's Despelote by Julian Cordero and Sebastian Valbuena. Now, there are a lot of football games in the world, but most of them are based around playing the sport, being the star striker, hitting those goals, or managing the club, and not many are about the culture and the fandom and the obsession, pride and drama that are most people's experience of following football. These subjects are what Despelote is about. It's about that vivid feeling of childhood obsession with football and following your national team into a major tournament for the first time. The developers describe this one as a slice-of-life adventure about childhood and the magical grip soccer held over the people of Quito in Ecuador in 2001. You play as a kid who sits through their school days and sits in car rides with their parents, just waiting for the moment that they can kick a ball around or play video game football at home. When that time comes, you get to run around in the streets, kick a ball about with your friends, knock things over and get into trouble. The game has a warm, nostalgic atmosphere, and it gave me genuine flashbacks to being a kid myself and supporting England at the Euros and at the World Cup. I love that it has that Uruguayan flavour with really cool voice acting and subtitles, and it has a textured, eye-catching visual style. This one's coming out on May the 1st. It's on Steam and all the consoles. Check it out. That's Despelote. The second game that I have for you is called Goodlands by Geological Josh. It's a cute little archaeology game where you're a little anthropomorphic animal who has to go and collect fossils for the museum in the desert. So you take your little flatbed truck and you head out into the desert. You can pull over wherever to talk to people, to pick up side quests, to dig, explore and so forth. It's a really, really cute time that made me think of a short hike in its atmosphere. While you do have quests to do, you also have a lot of freedom. You can just follow your nose. You can just take a trip on a sunny day. And so it has that lovely road trip feeling where you just get to do whatever you want. The developers describe this one by saying it's a game about dinos digging up other dinos. Become the paleontologist you always wanted to be. Walk, hop and drive around a Badlands-inspired environment, discover fossils and help restore a decrepit museum to its former glory. No release date on this one. It's one of those nebulous coming soon titles, but you can of course play it right now at Steam Next Fest, so pack your shovel, pop on your hat and head out into the wilds of Goodlands. Next up we have a super intriguing one. It's the new game from Cosmo D, the solo dev auteur behind Jazzpunk and Betrayal at Club Low, the Seamus McNally Grand Prize winning grimy nightclub adventure game. It's called Moves of the Diamond Hand. I think Cosmo D is great. I read an interview with him once where his work was compared to David Lynch because of the surrealism, and he said yeah sure, but he thinks it's more about Tom Waits. I love that. Tom Waits' music is this weird, lean-to assemblage of sounds and references and influences. And I can really see that in Cosmo's stuff. They're explorable digital assemblages of all kinds of janky asset store stuff, jokes, odd vibes, and wild ideas. Cosmo describes this one by saying, immerse yourself in a first-person urban RPG powered by dice and intrigue. Along the way, you might even shape the fate of a city, become a master of disguise, a master sandwich maker, or something else. Whatever it takes to get the gig, right? I'm very intrigued by this one. I can't wait to see what it turns out to be. I'll be on it day one when it comes out sometime in 2025. That's Moves of the Diamond Hand. Next up we have Circadial by Undercover Worm. This is a creepy 3D exploration game that plays with ideas of insomnia and being so tired that the world gets strange around you. I think we've all been there at one time or another, although maybe it wasn't quite as strange as this game. In Circadial, you walk around a medical lab where you're trying to get help for your sleeplessness, but there are also some dreamscape environments for you to explore as well, so hey, maybe you do manage to get some shut-eye after all? The developers describe this one by saying, "You've been invited to participate in a study for the newly developed Circadial pills, a medicine designed to remedy your lifelong insomnia. Explore the empty halls of the facility and the landscapes of your dreams to uncover the source of your night terrors. You will never be the same." This one's coming soon, so your guess is as good as mine on that, but I will certainly be keeping my eyes wide open for this one. That's Circadial. Time for a cute one. It's Bloomtale by Floralia Games. It's a cozy flower shop simulator in which you'll be taking orders, making up bouquets to the right specifications, taking photographs of your work, and then sending them off to be delivered. You also get to know the customers who come back time after time, so there's some story here too. The developers describe this one by saying it's a shop simulation game where creativity meets management. Arrange beautiful flower compositions that speak the language of flowers, manage your shop, and satisfy your customers in a world of blooming possibilities. And I gotta say, in these dumb, crazy, stressful times that we live in, I think everyone could use the opportunity to stop and smell the flowers, even if they're virtual ones, so check out this game if you agree. The demo is up now for Windows and Mac, and it has a 2025 release window. That's Bloomtale. Next up is Genokids. You remember Hi-Fi Rush? That was a game that came out of nowhere and blew a lot of people away with its stylized look and high-tempo action. Genokids looks like a game that's coming for the Hi-Fi Rush crown with a rock and roll soundtrack, a comic book look, and a combination of hack and slash and spectacle fighter gameplay. The devs describe this one by saying it's a bizarre musical band named Genokids that's rocking one of their best concerts to date when the infinite empire of Zenodia decides to invade the Earth and assimilate mankind. Their ship lands right on top of the band and ruins both their concert and their mood. So this one has an alien invasion storyline to complement the generally stylish package. It looks like there's a bit of exploration and traversal here too, so I'm very curious about it. It's Steam only for now and there's no release date for the time being, so keep watching the skies for Genokids. Number 7 is BonnieBearSavesFrogtime by BonnieBearSavesFrogtime, published by Off-Brand Games. This one is a playful, colourful adventure game. The vibe reminds me of Piku Niku, that Devolver joint from a couple of years ago. You're just kind of taking a walk, you're talking to people, you're getting up to mischief. It has mini-games including the frog time of the title, which is some kind of frog racing sport, I guess. But it looks like there's a warm-hearted story here too. The devs describe this one by saying Bonnie's self-worth is at an all-time low, and there's only one thing that can fix it: a lovely game of frog time. Grab your toad bag and get ready to go on a hilarious adventure full of quirky characters, explorable islands, and way too many frogs. Gonna be real, I'm not sure this game is for me exactly. It's very heavy on the whimsy, let's call it, but it looks really polished and fun, and I'm sure it's for some of you out there. So check it out at Next Fest. That's BonnieBearSavesFrogtime. Next up, we have a game that I've covered before in this channel and that I've been looking forward to for a while. It finally has a release date. It's GrimoireGroves by Stardust. It's coming out on March the 4th. It's a top-down game that mashes up farming, crafting, and action gameplay. You forage seeds, you prepare the ground, you grow stuff, and then you craft all kinds of things with your harvest. There are side quests you can do for locals that will help you unlock different areas of the map, and it has a mega bright, eye-catching palette, like a pastel take on the Ultros colour scheme. It's really impressive and charming to look at. The devs say join the witches in their quest to restore the Grimoire Groves, master magic, grow cute plant creatures, and discover the mystery of the rainbow socks in this cozy roguelite dungeon crawler. I always find farming games to be a bit of a grind, but something about this one has a lot of personality to it. It really caught my eye and I've been watching it and refreshing for a release date, so I'm really happy it's coming out on March the 4th. I'll be hoping it casts its spell on me. That's Grimoire Groves. Is This Seat Taken is an organisational puzzle game where you're trying to seat various characters next to each other, on buses, at weddings, in diners, and in all kinds of social settings. The twist is that everyone has their own preferences about noise, about light, about smells, which I can relate to keenly, and I imagine a lot of you can too, so this makes for a very fun, light-hearted, social puzzle game. The devs describe this one by saying it's a logic puzzle game where you play matchmaker for hilariously particular people. Each one has a pet peeve that makes seating them a challenge. Find the perfect spot for each person to unlock new levels in this cozy, silly, and relatable experience. So if, like me, you've ever been annoyed when you're out and about and some maniac is texting with their keytones on, or having loud phone conversations without headphones, or not using deodorant, maybe this is the game for you. No release date yet, but it's coming soon. I will be sitting next to this one when it releases. That's Is This Seat Taken? 10th on the list is IsleOfReveries by Desert Cuckoo. It's a Game Boy style adventure game that picks up where retro games like Earthbound and the 2D pixel Zelda games left off. I think a lot of us are waiting for Mina the Hollower, which is like a mini Silksong at this point. But in the meantime, you can try this one out. It's a very, very cute pixel art game. The devs say, make a pilgrimage skybound to the IsleOfReveries where any wish can be granted. Conquer mysterious dungeons, solve head-scratching puzzles, and fight dangerous enemies in this retro-inspired action-adventure. This looks cute as hell to me. It looks like a real comfort game with a mixture of action, exploration, puzzles, and power-ups. So if that's your cup of game, then be sure to check it out. That's IsleOfReveries. We're halfway through my list now, so let's take a tiny breather so that I can tell you about the Gaming in the Wild Patreon. And before you skip on to the next chapter, I would love it if you would consider showing your appreciation for these videos, especially if you're a regular viewer. It only costs £1 a month to join, and you get all kinds of cool stuff. You get bonus podcasts, you get behind the scenes stuff, you get content creation shop talk for all you YouTubers out there, and you get an invite to the patron-only Discord. This is a fantastic little community of other people who support the show. They chat every day about what they're playing, we discover new games together, and we've just kicked off a group playthrough of Kentucky Route Zero. There's a short games club, there's a channel where people match books to games and they read and play together. There are loads of content creators and podcasts in there who share all their work in the podcast channel, and you're welcome to do that too. It's patreon.com/gaminginthewild if you'd like to join. It's pretty cheap, it's less than a cup of coffee a month, and if you're up for that, the link is on the screen now. And a big thank you to my latest patrons, Thomas, Donald, Zach, Tyler, and Irate, all of whom signed up just in the last week. So yeah, check out the Patreon, and with that, let's get on with the video. The next game I have for you is called Koira. I love a game with a nice eye-catching line-drawn art style. It's one of my favourite types of game art, and Koira is a top-down adventure game that certainly brings the charm. You play as a black, I want to say cat? Bear thing who wanders around a vivid forest with a puppy for company. You'll be solving puzzles and you'll be fleeing from a cruel-eyed hunter and their dogs who want to make a trophy out of the pair of you. The devs describe this one by saying, save a puppy and embark on a heartwarming hand-drawn adventure together. Journey to the heart of an enchanted forest, solving puzzles and avoiding hunters to protect your newfound friend. If you're a fan of islets or Crypt Custodian, you will love this art style, and maybe you'll love the gameplay too, although I'm not sure if the cozy gamers out there are quite ready for the Watership Down level of heartbreak that could go down in this one. But it looks really, really gorgeous, this one. That's Koira. It's hitting Steam and all of the consoles on April 1st. LastReport by Monopixel Games is a game with a rock-solid elevator pitch. What if you took the spooky park ranger vibes of Firewatch but turned the horror setting up to 11? The gameplay is a bit different from Firewatch though, because rather than wandering around a 3D forest, you'll be using your computer to monitor security cameras and collect evidence of weird goings-on, sending email reports, solving captures, and presumably trying to solve the mystery and then get out alive. The devs describe it by saying LastReport is a dark horror game where you play as a night shift park ranger. While monitoring the camera footage, you start to notice strange events. Uncover the terrifying secret of the national park. Something moved in the window, but don't worry, it's probably just another deer, right? I think this one might be aimed squarely at the Venn diagram of people who like detective work of games like Return to the Obra Dinn and the spooky atmosphere of the X-Files, and if that sounds like you, it's coming soon to Steam, so prepare yourself for a jump scare or two and get ready to file your last report. Lost in Random was a fun, stylish 3D adventure game that stood out from the pack because of its stunning art style. It had a gothic stop-motion look that could have sprung straight from the pages of Tim Burton's sketchbook. It also had a really fun mixture of action combat with dice rolls and playing cards as special moves. The Eternal Die is a return to that world, but this time around it's reimagined as a top-down roguelike. It has all the things we've come to expect from the genre: combat arenas, buffs and boons, damage enhancements, spells, and various different weapons to try. It's definitely taking a few few pages out of the Book of Hades, and the developers describe this one by saying, take on an ancient evil in Lost in Random the Eternal-Die, a fast-paced action roguelite set in the whimsical world of random. Play as Queen Alexandra and her die-hard companion Fortune as you battle twisted foes, wield powerful relics and abilities, and roll the dice to escape this nightmarish realm. Lost in Random was a really fun time, and this is a welcome new spin on the gameplay of the original, so I'll be rolling the dice on this one for sure when it comes out sometime in 2025. That's Lost in Random, The Eternal-Die. Number 14 is another cozy game. It's CamperVanMakeItHome by Malapatis Studio. I'm going to be honest here, I'm not the biggest cozy game fan in the world, but I do get the appeal of designing a space, making it your own, and getting everything just how you want it. I have ended up doing that in some games, like trying to get all the plants perfectly arranged in my Starfield home, only to have some Bethesda jank make them all sink through the shelves. Hopefully that won't happen in CamperVanMakeItHome. It's a design-centric game where you get the chance to design your perfect home on wheels. You'll optimize the space, you'll conceal all your clothing and trinkets, you'll set up some ornaments, and hopefully it won't all fall down when you hit the road. The devs describe this one by saying, decorate and organize the camper van of your dreams. Embark on a journey of self-discovery as you build your own home on wheels using a combination of creative block organization puzzles and relaxing interior design. Make your heart feel at ease and your camper van feel like home. This one seems to have some unpacking vibes to it, and there'll be various different levels to try as you move around from campsite to campsite, so if you're the kind of person who enjoys tidying and arranging, this is definitely the game for you. That's CamperVanMakeItHome, coming to Switch and Steam sometime this year. Next up we have a bit of a wild one. It's PromiseMascotAgency from the makers of the wonderfully weird Paradise Killer, a detective game that mixed Lovecraftian cults with an 80s disco vibe on some kind of Floridian beachfront. PromiseMascotAgency seems every bit as odd. It's an open world adventure that seems to entail a bit of Pokemon style creature collecting and combat, and driving around the landscape in a truck as you recruit cute little weirdos to join your team. There's something in here for the otaku among you as well, as it's set in a cursed Japanese town. The devs say, recruit mascot friends and come to the rescue when disaster strikes. Solve the mystery of your exile. Help a living finger work through her many anger issues. Turn the Promise Mascot Agency into the best agency in Japan in this open world narrative adventure. After Paradise Killer, I will definitely dip into this one. It's another oddball mashup from Kaizen Game Works that's coming to all of the consoles and Steam sometime this year. That's Promise Mascot Agency. Another wild one is Qualia by CMY2K. It's a retro-inspired piece of interactive fiction that looks like a nicely presented text adventure. It seems to be based around joining a program to help train artificial intelligence and see if it passes the Turing test, with all of the Asimovian questions that will no doubt arise. It looks like it has that weird Portal superliminal vibe to it too, with that specific type of creepiness that comes from being an anodyne work environment where all is not as it seems or as it should be. The devs say Intellica thanks you for volunteering in this short text-based research study. Pay attention to the participants' answers and classify them as human or artificial. Join us in the shaping the future of technology, and remember, think happy. This game promises 6 different endings, so it seems like there are some branching paths and replay value here too, and best of all, it's going to be free when it comes out, so wishlist this one. That's Qualia. I love 3D platformers. I grew up playing Mario 64, Spyro, Crash and that kind of game, so I'm always really happy when someone offers a modern take on the genre. RuffyAndTheRiverside brings the Paper Mario vibes with an anarchic sense of fun and a puzzle mechanic where you can change the world around you to progress. For example, you can learn the properties of ice and then you can apply it to water or lava, making yourself a bridge to cross over. The devs sum it up nicely by saying, in RuffyAndTheRiverside, you wield the magic to swap, to copy and paste textures to turn ice into lava or waterfalls into vines. Explore, fight, skate on straw bales, and unleash your imagination in this quirky open-world action game. Dive into an adventure that lets you literally change the world. So if you're up for an indie swing at that bright, light, Nintendo-style sense of fun, this is the game for you. It's coming to all the consoles and Steam later this year. That's RuffyAndTheRiverside. Only 5 more to go now. At number 18 we have SkinDeep. This was revealed at the recent Annapurna Interactive Showcase, and if you're a fan of Blendo games, it's time to sit up and take note. Blendo games have been making eccentric indie titles since 2010, including cult hits like Quadrilateral Cowboy and 30 Flights of Loving. Them partnering up with Annapurna feels like a big deal, and they're really ramping things up with SkinDeep, a fast-paced space FPS with hordes of enemies, stealth, environmental damage, and a sandboxy ImSim aspect where you can hurl anything that you can pick up at enemies to take them down. Blendo say of this one that SkinDeep is an immersive first-person shooter. We got sneezing, we got things getting stuck in your feet, stalk through a vast non-linear starship, and sneak, subvert, and sabotage to survive in this stellar sandbox. You're outnumbered, outgunned, and you have no shoes. Welcome to SkinDeep. At number 19 we have StaticDread. It's one for all the horror fans out there. It's a creepy first-person game in which you're a lighthouse keeper charged with keeping the light turning, fielding requests for information, and handling distress calls in increasingly weird circumstances. This one's channeling the Dredge vibes, with a dread-filled seaside atmosphere and an interesting-looking cast of characters. The dev says, Lovecraft meets Papers, Please. Play as a lighthouse keeper and guide ships safely into harbour using your radio. Survive the presence of something impossible, and don't let the shadows consume you. I love everything about this pitch, and I'm dying to know more about how weird things will get. I have this one downloaded and ready to go, so I'm going to be dipping into it soon. I want to see what horrors come from the deep, and maybe even from beyond the veil. No release date as yet, so keep your eye on the sonar for more news of StaticDread. CastleVsCastle is one for anyone who's looking for some multiplayer fun. It's a 1v1 game where you're trying to build up the defences of your own castle while knocking down your opponents. It looks like a strategic tug of war where the odds seesaw from side to side as each player takes their turn, deploying all kinds of weapons, bolstering their defences, hoping to get through the next turn and hopefully come out on top. The devs say it's a stylish single-player 1v1 card game funded and supported by Slay the Spire's Casey Yano and inspired by browser classic Castle Wars. Build up your castle, knock down your opponents, brick by brick. I like the black and white art style of this one. Something about it makes me think of schoolroom games like Hangman, Noughts and Crosses, things you play on paper. It's a really fun looking game. That's CastleVsCastle. And rounding out the list we have WheelWorld. Formerly known as Ghost Bike, it's an open world cycling game where you can race, explore and freewheel your way around a cute play area. You can choose what you want to focus on, whether that's upgrading and modding your ride with cosmetics or power-ups, or just coasting around the world to see what lies at the edges. Even though it's not called Ghost Bike anymore, there's still some ghostliness in the biking. The devs say, dive into WheelWorld as Cat, a rider chosen by ancient cycling spirits. Race elite teams, trick out your bike, and perform the long overdue Great Shift ritual to save a universe on the brink. Your bike is your destiny. It's another Annapurna joint, which always augurs well for an indie game. It's coming out in 2025, and it's the last game on this list. That's WheelWorlds. That brings us to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Drop a like to help other people find it, and feel free to drop a comment. Tell me your favourite indie game, tell me something you played at Next Fest, tell me if you liked something about the video, tell me if you didn't, tell me if you think there's something that I could improve. I'm always trying to make better videos for you all. You are of course also welcome to come and join the Patreon at patreon.com/gaminginthewild. I was a games industry layoff last year, and making content for you all has really helped me to move forward from that, so your patronage would really help me out. It's patreon.com/gaminginthewild. I will also link a bunch of other videos in the description. You can check out my best games of 2024. You can check out my year ahead 2025 preview. I did a best of the best games of the year episode, which lists off all the best games of the 2020s so far, and I'm going to bet you there will be some games on there that you've not heard of. So thanks for watching, take care of yourselves and each other, and until the next one, bye bye for now.